Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Coffee with Carla, the semi-regular, semi-constructed chit-chat with the boss. So today we have joined with the star of the show,
Hello,
Carla, and we also have our first guest, Paul.
Hello.
So Paul, do you want to maybe just introduce yourself? What's your role?
My name is Paul Gilchrist. I'm a Learning and Development Tutor, or LDT, at Milton Road campus. I have been at the college for just over 6 years now and started off as a Student Services Assistant in Student Services, and soon after became a Student Services Officer or Guidance Officer, and I've now moved on to become an LDT. I look after primarily the computing department and the health and wellbeing department at Milton Road, and yeah, loving it. It's fantastic.
So how long have you been an LDT for?
Just over a year now. So I started last October.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's been a quick year, but it's been great.
So year 2, much easier?
Much easier. Every day is different. Every day is a different challenge, but it's a really great job. It's similar to what I've done before, but with new challenges, and that's really exciting for me.
Brilliant. And I suppose different from being on the kind of learner support side of things, you see the same students all the time, so you'll kind of see changes in there.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really pushed me into it. Was it's great. I've always loved the support side of the job, and I loved the job downstairs where I was able to support students sort of on a needs basis. But with this job, I'm able to see things through to completion a lot more. I'm able to see the kind of sort of journey students go on, and even in the year that I've been in, the difference I've been able to see in my students that I've had last year into this year has been great, really rewarding for me, and it's great to kind of see more of that journey for the students, and just it's an extra motivator for me as well.
Cool. And yeah, it's quite interesting, just the different roles you've kind of gone on and stuff like that. So let's say from the student point of view then, you've talked to me previously about the role of LDTs and how useful you found that. So what do you think the kind of LDT role means for students?
I think that the LDT role for students is really important. I think especially when people are going through challenging times in their own lives. Of course, there's also conflict sometimes with people in classes, and people who are needing some extra support or some extra guidance. LDTs play a really valuable role, and I know that my LDT was fantastic, and she got me through a few things that I experienced, so they're very valued. Yeah.
The LDTs, fantastic. No, that's great. So we are filming this on, it's the 5th of November, pardon me, which is Bonfire Night, and anyone who's been in a supermarket in the last 3 days will know that it's Christmas, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Halloween's over, so it's Christmas time.
So the Christmas adverts have started also.
Yeah, everyone's stocking up on their giant tins of sweeties and see how many mince pies they can eat before they go out of date. So it can be a stressful time. We talked on the last episode of the clocks changing.
Yeah.
They have changed now. So darkness and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's quite a short period of time between now and Christmas, especially in terms of kind of student life.
Yeah.
It can be quite stressful.
Yeah, it can be. I think in the lead up to Christmas, people are starting to worry about buying Christmas presents. They've got nights out. I think money is a big thing that plays an issue at this time. I think especially for students who are already not on a huge amount of money to then have to factor in Christmas presents, nights out. What's your advice and tips, Paul, on how to deal with this kind of stressful time?
Well, it's like you say, it's stressful for all manner of reason. For students at this point of the year, a lot of them are going for assessments as well, which itself is a difficult thing. And financially, is with the pressures of Christmas and of that sort of December period of work nights out, sort of social occasions, it can be really tricky to kind of to look at and to oversee and to afford. Yeah. And like everything, the importance is really just to prioritise, to look at what is essential, what you need to do, and then whatever you can do on top of that is great, but think about what you need to do first. Prioritise in terms of your work, in terms of your college work, prioritise what needs to be done in lieu of assessments, but also prioritise what you can and can't afford over the Christmas period. It's important you live sort of the best way you can, but it's important you live within yourself as well within that, to enjoy it, but to do that sensibly.
Okay, perfect. And can I ask you, so as an LDT perspective, if students are struggling financially, do you have any tips or advice for them, things that they can access through the college?
Yes, certainly. A couple of sort of main pillars of support in the college financially are to be found in student services, and if you speak with your LDT or you speak to a member of student services, you'll normally be signposted to it.
Yeah.
We have, as a sort of, if you're struggling generally financially and you need extra income, we have the discretionary fund, which is a emergency hardship fund, for sort of the probably clearest way to define it.
Yeah.
It's a paper application that you access from student services. It's a quick application. You fill out the information, which is just about your circumstances, a little bit about why you're needing the money, what you're using the money for. There's evidence that accompanies it, normally a bank statement proving that you are in a financial need, and any sort of other supporting evidence that will help support your claim for it.
Mm-hmm.
It is there to help people that are struggling financially, and it is there for people that are needing money for essential costs. So I would never want people to be in a stage where they're looking at things and they're thinking, maybe I can't get enough money for shopping this month or this week. It will be a processing time normally of up to 2 weeks, it says. Hopefully it's quicker than that, but just to be prepared, it's not a quick access thing.
Yeah, sure.
There are some quick access help available as well within the college. Again, within student services, you can access lunch vouchers to use in the college if you've not eaten, or you're worried about not being able to eat that day. You can go and speak to student services about accessing them. There is also help available in the form of Morrison's supermarket vouchers, normally in £5 denotations, and you again just explain what your situation is, speak with a member of the student services team, and they can help you out just to make sure you're getting food on the table, because college, everything around this time of year is stressful enough. Not eating on top of that really isn't going to help. So that access to help is available, and it's well worth students being aware of that.
Yeah, and I think from like student services side, I think particularly for students is to appreciate that student services are there to help, and they are very helpful. And it can be daunting thinking, I need to apply for a discretionary fund, but obviously there's loads of very helpful staff there that will. Well, that's their job. They're there to help.
Yeah.
So
No, massively, and it was a huge thing. I loved working in student services for when I worked there, and sometimes people can be a little bit scared, and there's a little bit of a stigma sometimes about asking for support. We would always encourage people to come and speak to us. We don't bite. No one in the college does, and at the end of the day, they all have that goal, want to help people, and nobody wants to see anyone in the college suffer or go through any times of hardship. So it's important that students are aware that there is a want to help. It's not just there to do their job. People doing that job are doing that for a reason, and that's because they want to help people. And the students will hopefully see the benefit of that if they need it.
And can I ask, are student services or LDTs able to make food bank referrals for students as well?
The student services teams on each campus can make referrals for the food bank. Again, if it's something that students are unsure about, or they're even maybe a bit worried about asking for that, because again, there sometimes can be a stigma around this sort of thing. Firstly, I would always encourage students to ask for it. Their support is available. It's well worth doing if you need it. It's much better to ask and to go for these things than to suffer in silence. If you're feeling unsure about speaking to student services, go to your LDT, speak to them first. They'll maybe have a better understanding. They can even accompany you down if need be. But it's well worth going and speaking to student services. It's a really simple process. They can make the referral on your behalf and send you to a local food bank to make sure you're getting help out with you as well.
And students can also come and speak to us in X as well, because we're very happy to help get involved with that as well. And I think that food bank usage, there is a little bit of a stigma about it. So for people to maybe understand that there's nurses, people in professional industries that are having to access it as well, and there's nothing to be stigmatised.
I mean, there's a general election coming up. There'll probably be quite a lot of chat about working poverty, and it is a thing, and it's certainly not. I think it's something which maybe comes into sharp focus with students a lot of the time, because their funding is so small, and it is so finely balanced. If one thing goes wrong, it can make a huge impact. So it's important to know that these kind of services, they're not there just because it's a nice thing to do. They're there because they're essential a lot of times. It's something which, I mean, we'd all like to be in a place where food banks didn't exist and they weren't required. But the fact is that if they are required, there's a mechanism in place there to help. Because you can't come to college if you're not eating. You can't fulfill your kind of potential if you're thinking about where's my next meal coming.
I think it's also really important that students actually know about these services and things so that it is publicised, because I think a lot of people aren't aware of the things that they can access.
Very much so. Again, something you experience a lot is students can sometimes suffer in silence, and just because they don't think anything's available to them because they don't see it everywhere. Often students, one of the great things I like about speaking to my students is sometimes they'll come to me with one particular issue, and I might not be able to help directly, but then maybe I'll know, student services can help with that, or somewhere else in the college can help with that. So it's important to go to whoever you trust and whoever you're comfortable speaking to for support, because if they can't help you, they can at least find a source of help for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's great.
So, I mean, the other things we touched on stress, but the last time we talked about self-care and things like that, and particularly leading up to that Christmas period, and you made the point that a lot of people are thinking about their work night out and things like that. Obviously, a lot of students will have part-time jobs, which may actually be full-time jobs, and there's a lot of stuff comes with that as well. So maybe, Carla, from a student perspective, do you have any pearls of wisdom in that kind of dealing with that stress leading up towards Christmas? I mean, it can be kind of, let's get everything crammed in before Christmas.
Again, I really reiterate what Paul says: plan, organise, prioritise, work out the things that you need to do, and then the things that you might need to do, and use it as like a triage system. Do the things that need done first of all, and try not to worry about other things. You can't do the things that you can do.
Yeah, and don't do what I did whenever I was prioritising my study and spend 3 days writing a timetable of what I was going to do and not actually doing
anywhere. Cut yourself some slack.
I think prioritising is a really good one, because I think we say, make a list of things you need to do, but actually prioritising them is the real thing.
Yeah, and I think as well, what students sometimes can lose sight of, and understandably so because they're so in the middle of it, is college and your days as a student aren't going to last forever. And you can look at that two ways. You can look at that in a way of you're enjoying your student life, you're enjoying life as a student, so you've got time to enjoy that, but also taking the decision not to do something because as a student you maybe can't afford that this year. There's plenty of time to do that in the future. And if you're really struggling with college and you need to prioritise that, just think that's maybe that this year, but next year I'll be able to be in a better position to fix that. And just having that perspective on things of going, this is my situation now, but it might not be the same in the future. It's quite an important one to have, I'd say, for a lot of students. And people in general, in terms of their day-to-day lives. But yeah, I think students can sometimes maybe not think there's an end in sight, and I think it's important to remember that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, and obviously one of the most exciting things about coming up towards Christmas is not the Christmas markets or all those presents or nights out. It's the fact that there's a general election coming up in December. Isn't that exciting, Carla?
Woohoo! Very exciting, Al. Very
That's what you wrote to Santa for.
So obviously the Student Association are doing a load of stuff to try and get people to register to vote, but do you want to maybe tell us why it's important?
It is really important for everybody to register to vote, so that you can express your wishes and your wants for what's coming up. If you don't vote, what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You need to make sure that you get your point across, so it's really essential that everybody does register to vote if they haven't already.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that kind of the younger age groups in the kind of scheme of things are the least likely to be registered to vote.
16 to 24.
So they've got a huge potential to make a big difference. I'm not saying everyone at college is young, but a huge majority of them are, so could make a big impact in this election.
They're going to have to put up with whatever changes or whatever is in place the longest. So they're the ones that will see the biggest effect of what's happening. And I think it's important for them to kind of realise that responsibility and enjoy that responsibility of being able to have a say in your own future, because as we've kind of touched on, a lot of people do kind of suffer in silence a little bit, and this is a chance to kind of get your voice heard sort of on the paper and across sort of on a national scale.
Definitely.
So we've got stuff out on our social media, on posters, on our website about how people can register to vote, and it's the 26th of November is the deadline to register, and the election's on the 12th of December. So very exciting. Okay, so thank you very much for coming along today, Paul. It was fantastic. It's great to have you, Carla. Pleasure as ever. And That is pretty much everything we've got time for today. If you want to have any comments or questions about anything we talked about today, you can get in touch with us on our social media at Exit Online. Until next time, see you later.
Bye.